He died the same year, 10 months after his return to Medina, on June 8th, 632, at the age of 62. Muhammad must be judged by authentic and impartial history, and not by the ridiculous legends spread by ignorance and fanaticism on his behalf, or by the portraits of him by those interested in discrediting him, portraying him as a bloodthirsty and cruel, ambitious man. It is no longer necessary to hold him responsible for the excesses of his successors, who would have conquered the world for the Muslim faith with saber in hand. Undoubtedly, there were great tasks in the last period of his life. One can reproach him for having, in some circumstances, abused the right of the victor and for not having always acted with the desired moderation. However, besides some acts that our civilization condemns, it must be said, in his defense, that he showed himself much more often humane and merciful toward his enemies than vengeful, and that he often gave proof of a true greatness of soul. It must also be recognized that, in the midst of his own success, and then as he reached the highest point of his glory, until his last day, he confined himself to his role as a prophet without ever usurping a despotic temporal authority. He made himself neither king nor potentate, and never, in his private life, was he stained with any act of cold barbarity or base greed. He always lived simply, without pomp or luxury, showing himself good and benevolent to everyone. This is the story. If one refers to the time and environment in which he lived, if one considers above all the persecutions to which he and his followers were subjected, the obstinacy of his enemies, and the acts of barbarity they committed against his supporters, is it any wonder that, in the intoxication of victory, he sometimes resorted to reprisals? Is it welcome to censure him for having established his ironclad religion among a barbaric people who fought against him, when the Bible records, as glorious facts for the faith, massacres of such atrocity that one is tempted to dismiss them as legends? When 1,000 years after him, in civilized countries of the West, Christians, guided by the sublime law of Christ, threw themselves upon peaceful victims, stifling heresies through bonfires, torture, massacres, and waves of blood. If Muhammad's warrior role was a necessity for him, and if this role can excuse him from certain political acts, the same cannot be said for other aspects.